But hail to the Commanders.
Hail.
Let's go whoop some Raven ass this week. How about that, baby? How about that? Pop, what's going on, man?
Son, pushing my bedtime.
Yeah, I know, man. We're burning. And Pop might have to stay out past 9:30 over there. Man, how we doing? How we feeling? Where's the vibes at? We're doing our Ravens pregame podcast today. Got to do the quick vibe check to get started. Don't forget, stay tuned. Bada Bets coming to you second half of this podcast. If you're just here for the Bada Bets, I would encourage you to give it a try. Just listen. I think you'll be entertained. But if not, hit the description. Get that timestamp. Go get your fix. But I think if you're skipping this kind of content to go straight to Bada Bets, you need to hit that 1-800-GAMBLER because we're bringing you straight heat on this podcast. And today we are talking the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens without Joe Flacco. The Baltimore Ravens with Lamar versus the Washington Commanders. Your Washington Commanders. Your 4-1 Washington Commanders. Your number one offense in the NFL, Washington Commanders. How you feeling, Pop?
Feeling good. Feeling good. Just a quick point. Bada Bets, for those of you that are new, as our signature for our NFL picks every week. So we pick the top games of the week. Stick around for that. But feeling good. I mean, it's a big one. Versus the Ravens, and it's so cool that, I mean, if you were guessing one team was 4-1 and the other was 3-2, I think you would have had that reversed.
And right? I think you would have been naked that we were 3-2. I think you would have been fired up.
We still would have been, yeah, we still would have been pretty happy.
I'll take that.
That's a big one. Lamar versus Jayden. I know people want to say it's not Lamar versus Jayden. It's Washington versus Baltimore, but guaranteed Lamar versus Jayden going to be in that title so we can get some clicks.
For sure.
But it is exciting. I mean, a lot of people do make a lot of comparisons between the two. And I mean, rumor has it there's going to be some celebrities in the building.
Yes, sir.
On Sunday.
Little Dom and Pop live appearance at M&T Bank Stadium.
Want to stop us for autographs? Go ahead.
We'll stop. We'll sign. We'll sign your T-shirts. All right. We'll sign your jerseys.
No body parts.
Yeah. Well, thanks for clearing that one up, Pop. That's important. That's important. Pop is off the rails tonight, man. We lost him already. But we are going there. We're going to be fired up. Might bring you a little bit of content from the game. We're going to try and be a little more focused on hanging out and enjoying it, but we will be there tailgating. Dommy Cutlets is making an appearance. We're making Cuddle-less sandwich for the tailgate, like a good batch of Italian.
That's how we do it.
It's going to be electric. It's going to be
There's
electric.
going to be a big group of Italian Commanders fans at this game.
Yep. Just
be forewarned, you know.
Serious freight train we're bringing to M&T Bank Stadium. And I got a feeling we're not going to be the only ones showing up. I got a feeling there's going to be a decent bit of burgundy in that stadium. I think the Ravens come out and rep their home field as well as just about any team in the NFL. Yeah. I think it's underrated how hard of a place M&T Bank Stadium is to play and how in love with that team that fan base is. And I think we're going to have our work cut out for us in that regard. But I do think we'll see a little bit more burgundy than you would expect, especially considering it's a nice stadium. It's right up the road. Those regular season ticket holders in Washington, you got to imagine, are taking a look at getting out to M&T Bank Stadium. At least, unfortunately, the tickets
ain't cheap. Good thing we got ours early.
Going to cost you a little bit of Scott. Oh, we bought them at the 4-13 price. The 4-13 price is not the 4-1 price.
Wasn't bad,
unfortunately, man. So that's it's the consequences of winning. I tell you what, we'll take it. We would have paid any amount of money for this outcome right now. But Pop, I want to start this thing off. We've done our vibe check. We've done our musings about being at the tailgate. I want to start this thing off with a question. How have your expectations for this season changed that we're 4-1? Where are your expectations at?
I got to be honest, and I wrote the question because I think it's a great topic. I mean, we're at the quarter turn for the season, and we're 4-1. And you look at that and you say, okay, 12 games left. You go 6-6. That's 10 wins. Yeah. And I would think that we would all be pretty disappointed if we went 6-6 from this point forward.
Yeah.
Right. You got division games coming up. I think there's every reason to believe that we're going to give the Cowboys and the Eagles heck and Giants in the second game. I think we could, conservatively win three of those 5. So yeah, I mean, you've got to have expectations at this point of being a playoff team. Yeah. I think it's fair to say from what we've seen, they've looked like one of the best teams in the NFL through 5 games. They've got the secret weapon in Jayden Daniels. But not only that, we're just seeing a great vibe from the team. Talking about a vibe check. We're just seeing a great vibe from the team.
Yeah.
Defense is starting to ramp up and come together. You had a great point about, the fact that DQ is really just understanding now who he needs to have on the field and blending all of that. And that's so important.
Yeah, it's really important. I think, the bottom line is with this team, if you're 6-6 for the rest of the year, you win 10 games. You're 10-7, which I think a lot of us at the beginning of the year, we said this is absolute best case scenario is we're 10-7.
Didn't I just say that?
And we steal a wild card, right? I'm reinforcing your point. I'm emphasizing, right? So I think at the end of the day, if you get to that point where you're 10-7 at the end of the year, at this point in the season, if we go 6-6 for the rest of the season, we're going to be asking what went wrong. Did the league catch up to Jayden? Did Cliff do what he did in Arizona and fail to adjust over the course of the year? Has the defense just been exposed? We're going to be asking questions, and I think that's worst case scenario at this point in the season, barring something that I say we don't even want to say out loud, right? But I think for me, my expectations have changed drastically. Yeah, I think this is a team that at minimum you want to see make the playoffs. I think you should expect that they win the division at this point. Philly seems to be floundering. Dallas seems to be floundering. New York, you don't know what they are, but you assume at best they're a feisty 9-8, right? You should expect them to win the division.
9-8?
At best. I said at best. At absolute best. You don't know what New York is.
Love you, cousin Robert, but New York ain't going 9-8.
You don't know what New York is right now. You can't say you know what they are. They've hung in. They've fought tough a couple games. They just had that big win in Seattle. Who knows? You don't know what a lot of teams are at this point in the year.
That was a good win.
But all that aside, now that we've done our Giants breakdown, it sounds crazy, but 11-12 wins and, a home playoff game after a 4-1 start should be the expectation. Will we get there? Will we come back down to earth a little bit? Probably more realistic that outcome has happened. But frankly, nothing has been realistic about the start to this season. So I think we've seen special. So we should continue to expect special for this team.
Yeah, and I think there's room for improvement. I mean, that's the exciting thing. I mean, I think there's definitely things that they can clean up on defense.
For sure.
And I definitely think that there's things that they can clean up on offense, as well. I mean, it wasn't perfectly clean on Sunday. And, I think that there's opportunity to see this thing even grow and improve. And I tell you what, though, from my point of view, I want to get back to this Ravens game because we haven't hyped it enough. We haven't hyped it enough. I know it's getting to be Pop's bedtime, but I'm kind of starting to get juice now. My boy's coming into town. For those of you who don't know, Dom's based in L.A. He's a West Coast, true and true Washington football fan, Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call them. So I'm getting excited. Baltimore and Washington, it's always a rivalry. I don't care what anybody says. we want to win this game bad. I know they want to win it bad. They don't want to. They're probably already tired of hearing about the Commanders and Jayden Daniels and the comparisons between Jayden and Lamar. Who's his name? Lamar? And Lamar, look, I'm going to say it. I got a lot of love. I got a lot of love for Lamar. I think he is a great, great football player. Would not surprise me. I know Dom doesn't like when I say if he's back-to-back MVP this year. That team is rolling. That team is playing really, really well. And you know, it's going to be a tough matchup. I view us as big underdogs still, despite the 4-1 start, despite everything. Vegas kind of does too. I still think we're big dogs going into this one. But there are no moral victories.
No.
I'm not happy with a close loss. I want this win. I want this
not even a little bit. It's look, we call it what it is. You want this win. That's the bottom line. You want this win. And I think, you could say, hey, even if we come out of this 4-2, whatever, like that's great. We're excited to be 4-2, but you want this win, and you want the bottom line is like you want to say that the expectations are what we said they were earlier in the episode. You want to talk about a home playoff game. You want to talk about playing football late into January. You want to talk about, doing the kind of things that this team wants to do. All right. Here's a team you're going to see if you want that home playoff game. Here's a team that is you're going to run into. You can
only see them in the Super Bowl.
You can only see them in the Super Bowl, but here's the caliber of team. Here's the type of team. Of course, I know the Ravens are in the AFC.
Would love to see them again.
Yeah. God willing. But, you take that with what this team is doing, and you think the Ravens are hot right now. They're white hot. We've won 3 in a row. We've won 4 in a row. The Ravens have one of the best offenses in the NFL. We have the best offense in the NFL. Ravens have been struggling a little bit defensively. We seem to have turned it around defensively. I don't know. It's an interesting set of storylines. They're comparing Lamar to Jayden Daniels and Jayden Daniels to Lamar, mostly Jayden Daniels to Lamar. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think they're two pretty different players. I think you've just got
there's some similarities. There's some similarities.
Two guys that can use their legs, but they don't even have similar running styles. I think they're completely different runners. I think they're completely different passers. I think they're two completely different players.
I agree, but I think as a defensive coordinator, some of the problems that Lamar presents are the same problems that Jayden presents, and vice versa, right? Whoever you want to put first. I agree. They're different. They have different styles about them. But when you're having to go against Lamar and defend him, I think Jayden presents a lot of the same problems and vice versa, because they can both make plays with their feet and with their arm. Sure. They can. And I think I like, as a follow-up to how our expectations for the seasons have changed, our expectations for this game should have changed. Like I said, it's not about, I just want it to be respectable. No, we're playing to win, and I'm sure that's how every player in that locker room and every coach in that locker room feels. Yeah. And it's going to be tough. I said it. I feel like we're definitely, big underdogs in this one. But I'm excited to see what can happen.
Yep. And that's my difference is I respect the Ravens for sure. And 6 weeks ago, I would have been afraid.
Do you?
Going into this game. Yeah, they're a good football team. I respect them. And I would have been afraid 6 weeks ago going into this game. I'm not afraid anymore.
You had to flip a coin when they played the Cowboys on who you'd rather win.
I respect their ability as a football team. I don't like them. There's no secret. I've made no secret about that in my 4 years on this podcast or my 27 years on this earth. I don't like that football team at all. I respect them, though. They're damn good. They've forced me to respect them. And especially certain weapons and players on the team are dangerous. And, of course, Lamar is right at the top of that list, although there's another guy that I doubted, hand up. I doubted coming into this season.
I got to set you up. About. My favorite segment of the week. I got to do it. Dom's scouting report. Let's get into it. Break it down. Pop.
real important to put the underline on that. This is Dom's Ravens scouting report. Guys, it's a good football team. It's the bottom line. It's a good football team. This is what a lot of people across the NFL consider a Super Bowl team, consider a top tier franchise. This is, if you're looking at who can knock off Kansas City, who do you think can knock off Kansas City? I maintain my answer is no one. However, these Baltimore Ravens are towards the top of that list. It just is what it is. Love them or hate them. That's the truth, right? And you saw, week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs, they were this far away from, scoring. Just chalk that up to luck. That's just bad luck right there. And now were there guys running open on the plays beforehand? Sure. But that Isaiah Likely out of bounds play, bad luck. So bottom line is the only way you beat this team is you've got to force Lamar Jackson to play with his arm, because at running back, you've got Derrick Henry, who is a bowling ball down the field. He is a human wrecking ball. He is the thing I'm probably most scared of, to be honest with you, going into this week, matchup wise with this team. I was saying it earlier, I doubted the guy coming into the year. I still think if you could stop Henry at the line of scrimmage before he builds up a full head of steam, I think that's the way you got to try and attack him. You got to load that box and just not allow him to get moving. But once he gets 3-4 yards down the field, he might not have that first step that he had, but once he gets at that top speed, you're just not tackling him. I don't know a single guy on this Commanders defense, especially with the struggles that we've had with
especially in the secondary.
Especially in the secondary. I don't know that 13, he might evaporate if Derrick Henry runs in his direction. He only played
4 snaps last week, so I don't think we have to worry too much about that.
So gonna have to key in on Henry. But we'll get into that more on the keys to the win. The wide receiver room is not their strength there. Zay Flowers is a nice piece, and he's a good receiver. Definitely got to be worried about him in the secondary. But you know what? If they're beating us with Rashad Bateman, fine. Let that be what happens there. Obviously, at tight end, Mark Andrews is not the guy that he used to be, but Isaiah Likely seems to be taking over that role. And I think Mark Andrews still, it's early on in the season. He dealt with a lot of injuries last year. He dealt with some injuries to start the offseason. He had that car accident where he allegedly wasn't hurt. But I think Mark Andrews is still a guy that can turn it on at this point in the year. So got to be worried about that. But, defensively, you've got a really good, I'm blanking on his name, but they've got one really good edge rusher. They've got Marlon Humphrey. You've got Kyle Hamilton. And aside from that, that's been the weakness of this Ravens team this year, has been the defense. So that's where you got to look to attack. They lost a couple key players. They lost the mastermind behind that defense and the assistant to the mastermind for that defense as well. So they're still trying to find it defensively. But that's my Ravens scouting report, man. Damn good football team. I think if you want to point out a weakness, it's their pass defense and it's their offensive line, I think would be the 2 weaknesses you'd point out. And does that sound familiar to you, Pop?
It does. It does.
Yeah. Yep.
It does. I think, we were talking about it before the pod. I think their strengths, this is what scares me offensively against our defense. Their strengths match up really well against our weaknesses, at least what we've seen to be weaknesses. We've gotten gashed in the run game quite a bit, dealing with a mobile quarterback that can really just buy time. And we're not that great at sustaining coverage in our secondary. It's gotten better, but I really feel like, they're going to have a really good game plan for sure to deal with that. But I also feel like our strengths match up really well with their weaknesses, right? I think we can put up points. Our pass game has been terrific. Their pass defense hasn't been very good. Yeah. So, I think it's shaping up for, an offensive game for sure. And Ravens have been in a bunch of shootouts this year already.
Yeah. And one point that I think is interesting is the Ravens do, through this point in the year, they do have one of the better run defenses in the NFL. And that's been something that's been super key to our offensive success, has been being able to run the football. However, we'll put a little asterisk next to that. Bills, Raiders, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals is who they've played so far. Bills, Raiders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bengals is who they've played this year. Pacheco got it done in week 1 on the ground. And other than that, you're not seeing football teams that really run the ball. And you're getting into these shootouts and these game scripts where you got to score 40 to beat them. The Bengals, Burrow had 390 yards in the air. Burrow had such a good game last week. He passed Daniels in EPA for number 1 because of what he did last week. So I'm not saying it's not real, the run defense, but I think there's some room for some regression there just based on who they've played so far. So let's get into the keys to a win. What do you say, Pop?
Let's do it.
You guys know the drill. We're going to read these keys off, react to them a bit. And if you guys have your keys or how you feel, drop it in the comments. Let us know what you think. We'll forward it right on to Dan Quinn. Let him know, and we'll have the boys keyed in for it on Sunday. All right. So our 3 keys to the win. Number 1, you got to continue the momentum offensively. That's key. So balanced attack, sustain drives, and we got to keep the Ravens offense off the field. I know we love to go tempo, and I think my personal opinion, I know Pop is a little more concerned about that time of possession than me, and we'll break that down a little bit later. My personal opinion, if you can get that big play, take it. If you can get those points, take it. If no huddle's working,
of course,
we pay our defense too, right? We're going to have to score. That's the bottom line. And that gets into a key that we'll get into later. All. Exactly. Key number 2 is going to be contain the Ravens run game, Lamar and Derrick Henry. Look, call it what you will. And this is not a knock on anybody. This is just football fact. The recipe to beat the Ravens is you have to force Lamar to beat you from the pocket.
Yeah.
That's the recipe. That's been the recipe. I'm not saying the recipe works every single time and that Lamar's a bad pocket passer. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you see teams stump the Ravens, which is rare, teams don't stump the Ravens often, but when you see teams stump the Ravens, that's what they do. And Harbaugh has shown a tendency to shy away from the run, especially late in games. So that's my second key for that is you got to contain the run game. You got to contain Lamar and Henry. They did a great job of containing Kyler Murray a couple weeks ago, kept him to 3 yards. Deshaun Watson's just not a guy that looks to get outside the pocket very much, but he got punished when he did. But obviously, there's been no guy that gets outside the pocket and can make you miss better since Michael Vick than Lamar Jackson. So,
yeah, I was going to say they've had a tendency so far to forget about Derrick Henry a little bit too much. And they tend to really do put it on Lamar and, have him put the team on his back. And to his credit, he delivers a lot of the time.
Yep.
So,
that's been the Ravens' MO. I mean, I said it earlier today. They remind me of like the 2016 Seahawks, where it was just like, let Russ cook. It's basically like they throw Lamar out there every week and they're like, go put up 40, bro. Do it. And if Lamar just kind of keeps doing it.
If we could start fast and maybe get a lead and force them to play a little bit from behind, that's going to maybe put them in a situation where they've got to drop Lamar back more and more. And, that could be to our advantage. Yeah,
definitely. That's advantageous for us. And then key number 3, finish drives. Like Pop said, we're going to need to put up points. Points are going to cure all. It's going to be a shootout. It's likely going to be a shootout. We say that, and then I feel like every time you go into a game and you're like, that's a shootout, you look up and it's like 7-6 at halftime, But I think it's going to be a shootout. You don't want to get into a grinder with this team, in my opinion. We're going to need to put up points.
The defensive staff's going to have to coach their butts off this week and really come up with a good plan.
Yep. And I like our guys to do it, frankly, so we can roll that right into the prediction and then maybe talk a little more about what we're thinking there. But the prediction is Ravens -6.5. We're covering that. I think that's disrespectful, frankly. I think we cover that. I think
it shows
a lot of Ravens fans will tell you that's disrespectful.
I think it shows that Vegas doesn't quite believe yet, because there's nothing that you've seen out of these two teams so far this season that would lead you to believe the Ravens should be 6.5-point favorites, right? This is, but I understand it, right? They're carrying a legacy from the last few years. We were 4-13 last year. So it's a bit of Vegas saying you got to prove it to us still. But I agree. I said we're in it to win it. So I'm picking our boys. Yeah, it's gone pretty well picking our boys the last 4 weeks, right?
How did Bengals minus 6.5 turn out?
We're 4-1 picking our boys. So we'll keep rolling.
How did Bengals minus 6.5 work out for you? That's how I feel about that one. I think that's that's a silly line. But yeah,
we're in it to win it.
We're in it to win it. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think I'm really excited to see the boys fly around out there, and I think it'll be a good one. If this team can go out there and at minimum we're in it to win it, and we say that, and at the same time I'm a realist. If this team can go out there and at least compete and look good, if they squeeze like a Justin Tucker 60-yarder to win the game or something like that, you got to come away going. If you come away feeling like we could have had them, then yeah, you start to talk about this team in terms of contending for the NFC, in my opinion. So let's move on. Got to get a quick zoom out here as we transition over to the national media scope. Before that, real quick, hail to the Redskins, or to the Commanders, excuse me. That came from the depths of me. Some of our fans will be excited about that one, but hail to the Commanders.
Hail.
Let's go whoop some Raven ass this week. How about that, baby? How about that? All right. Quick kick-outs of the week. This is a serious kick-outs, man. Jets fire Robert Saleh after week 5. The coach killer, Aaron Rodgers.
Got escorted from the building by security. Wasn't even able to address the team.
I kind of hope he flipped out. I kind of hope he flipped the desk over or something. I don't think that's the case. I think
he could have got pissed. He could have got pissed. I mean, I thought about that too. I'm like, security had to escort him out. So I would imagine he wasn't too happy. It's crazy up there in New York. It is.
Yeah.
Shocker, I'd say. And your boy Aaron Rodgers.
You know, the last guy that got off the Dan Snyder ship was the owner of the New York Jets. Was old Woody Johnson or whatever his name is up there. And you can do your own research on that guy. He's the real deal when it comes to a-hole owners. He's about as bad as it gets. He's right up there with Danny Boy. And this is just a clear case of that. Aaron went there because he could get his way with that owner, and he's getting his way with that owner, and the Jets are a train wreck now. And just correct me if I'm wrong. Did Robert Saleh throw 3 interceptions, one of which coming on the last drive of last week's game against Minnesota in order to clutch that game up? Is that
nope.
What happened?
Wasn't Robert Saleh. And last I checked, they have a top 5 defense, which
all
is
Robert Saleh has done since he's been there.
His expertise is right.
Kept that team relevant because he has developed one of the most lethal defenses in the NFL. That's all he's done since he's been there.
Well, they're begging him to come back to San Francisco, but I would just stay home and count my money.
Yep. That's what I would do.
He'll be all right. Robert would be all right. He's probably going to save himself some his nervous system by just being free of that mess over there. It's a big mess. I said, all along, check the tape 2 years ago, hitching your wagon when there was talk of maybe us being in the Aaron Rodgers business. He was never going to come here. But hitching your wagon to a 40-year-old quarterback is just a bad idea, especially one that's got supposed character issues at this stage of his career. He's a really different guy than he was earlier in his career. And, he's 40 years old. He's not the Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago. Yeah. So, feel bad for Jets fans. Jets inside, we feel for you.
Me too. I actually texted the Jets insider today, and much respect to him. He won't quit. He can't move off the Jets, and I got nothing but respect for that. But I did say Jets fans.
We'll welcome
Jets
him
fans. That's what I told him. I said Jets fans are one of the few fan bases I think really deserve to be on this Commanders bandwagon because you guys have met the requirement of suffering I don't want no Ravens fans coming over here, but Jets fans are welcome. You guys have met the requirement of suffering, but Patriots fans, Steelers fans, get out of here. No, you guys haven't suffered enough, but Jets fans certainly have suffered more than enough, and I just feel bad for that fan base, whatever's left of it. And, you might see Robert Saleh over here in D.C. as some kind of consultant role, because he does have ties to Quinn and Peters, and you might as well add another stud. I don't think you do it this season.
I'd be on a beach somewhere warm if I was him.
Me too.
Pick some games.
Let's do it, Pop. Let's get into a little bit of Bada Bets. We're going to kind of fly through this here. Last week, down week for the boy. I could afford it, but down week for the boy. 2-4 in week 5 last week, coming off that 5-1 week beforehand. So came back down to earth last week. 14-2 for the year. Pop was 3-3.
Mr.
Also
500.
13 for the year. It's like Pop's golf game, man. He's just gonna. You're not going to see the drive go 270 yards, but he's just going to keep it center of the club face, right down the middle, and all of a sudden
250 every once in a while.
All of a sudden, you get to the green, and you go, Pop, what was that? He goes, 5. I said, damn, again? Another 5, Pop? Just Mr. Consistent, steady Eddie out there on the links and on the Bada Bets. But that's just in case you're counting. Both boys above 500, so not a bad idea to tail the podcast here. Thursday Night Football, 49ers -3.5 at the Seahawks. All start. I'm taking the Seahawks.
Yep, so am I. I like the Hawks. I think, the Niners are struggling a bit. Some of it's injury. For sure. But I'll go Hawks just to tingle there.
Yeah, struggling with injury, one of the toughest places to play at home, division rivals. Seahawks always seem to kind of I got a buddy that's a 49ers fan, and he feels like the Seahawks kind of how we feel about the Giants. You always feel like you're better than them, but somehow they always kind of get in there and make it harder than it needs to be. So I'm going Seahawks here. Stop the bleeding. Signature win for Mikey Mack at home. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Bucks -3.5 at your New Orleans Saints. What you got there, Pop?
Saints coming off of Monday night. I like this Bucks team. I know that they, came coming off a loss, but I'm going Bucks all the way here.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks all the way here too. I think the Saints are real lucky that they played the Panthers week 1, and that might have
they're falling apart a bit.
Adjusted the way things were looking a little bit. I don't think they were ready for that 2-0 Super Bowl expectation. Just a reminder, your Washington Commanders were 2-0 last year too. How'd that end for us? Let's take the Bucks there. Me and Pop in lockstep so far. Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Lions -3.5 at the Cowboys. What you got, Pop?
Going Lions.
The Diamond Pop signature, Detroit Lions, baby. Detroit Lions.
The Cowboys, we both picked against them last week against the Steelers. Steelers on the road. I think the Steelers are also a team that got off to a bit of a hot start, but aren't as good as maybe that initial record made them out to be. But I give them credit. That's a tough place to play. They got a good win on the road.
Yeah.
There. An ugly game. You called it. It's going to be an ugly game.
Yeah.
It was a very ugly game. But Lions are just, to me, they're a Super Bowl contender.
Lions are, you want to talk about Vikings. You talk about that echelon of teams that you got to be able to dance with if you really want to do it. And the Detroit Lions are in that echelon. You know who's not?
And quite frankly, Jerry World is not a tough place to play. It isn't. It isn't. So, and fans tend to travel. I bet you'll be a lot of Lions fans there. So I just don't think that home field advantage is that big of a deal there.
Well, I think the Cowboys fans, I think if there's one fan base that is so excited to tell you how bad the Cowboys suck right now is the Cowboys fans. I think Cowboys fans are out on this team. I think it's a mess right now in Dallas.
I think they're still a team. I think they're still going to be a team to contend with.
I think they stink.
But
I think they stink. I think if you gave me plus money for the Giants to finish ahead of them in the division,
but we're both going Lions.
Both going Lions. Either way. Sunday Night Football, Bengals -3.5 at the New York Giants. I am going to take the Bengals here. What do you think, Pop?
I think they're desperate for a win. I mean, you brought it up earlier. You're right. The Giants have been scrappy for sure.
Team. Yep.
And I wouldn't be totally shocked, but I think if you just look talent for talent, Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones played a lot better this last few weeks. They were trying to run him out of town, and he's doing better. But I'll go Bengals as well.
And then Monday Night Football, Bills -2.5 at your New York Jets. Hammer the Bills -2.5 here, in my opinion. I think it's just a disaster in New York now.
I just don't get it. You
Nothing for the Pipes.
Fired a defensive coach. You hired his assistant to be interim coach. You got Hackett there, who apparently Saleh wanted to demote, who's untouchable because of Aaron Rodgers. It's a train wreck. I would be shocked. Stranger things have happened. It's a week-to-week league, but I'd be shocked if they bounce back off of that one. I can hear the boos raining down at MetLife Stadium on Monday night. That's my crystal ball view. And the Bills need it. I mean, they need it. So they should take advantage of a wounded team there. The boys are in lockstep today.
Yep.
5 for 5 matching picks. So we're a team this week.
We win together.
We're a team this week,
baby. I promise, if it's your first time watching Bada Bets, it's not usually that synced up.
It's a good vibe for this Ravens game. I feel like we're locked in.
Oh, yeah.
We're in sync. We're going to be there at the stadium.
Yep.
Stop by and say hi if you happen to recognize us. I doubt it, but, boy can dream. A man can dream.
Pop might fall over, man. Someone yells, "Down, Pop!" And we look around and
we'll give you a cutlet sandwich.
Yeah.
You see us at the tailgate? Guaranteed cutlet sandwich if you shout us out.
I'm not comfortable telling everybody what lot we're going to be in, but if you find us, yeah. Call the left for sure. And we got gluten-free options too. All right.
Important to get that one in there.
Pop, I dropped the pipes on you earlier today. You didn't give me nothing for that little New
drop the pipes?
I hit the little Alicia Keys for you.
I don't know. We could do a duet. I'm more of a Frank Sinatra guy. New York.
Start spreading the news.
I'm leaving today. Not sure of the rest of the lyrics.
Kick the Ravens' ass. Raise hell, raise hell.
All right,
let's wrap this thing up.
Rushing to hit stop on their YouTube button.
Hit subscribe for the pipes, man.
Just hit the like.
Let's wrap this thing up.
Show some sympathy.
Yep. Without further ado, guys, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you guys for another great week, and hail to the Commanders.
Hail.